Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and heavy metal to you. Dom Lawson here, writer and kind of chubby old person from Metal Hammer magazine. You may well be familiar with what you're looking at, which may be why you're looking at it. A long time ago, in the midst of time, I used to do these regular podcasts, vlogs, who knows? And frankly, who fucking cares what they are? It's me talking into my laptop for about 10 minutes about a new album, about once a week, hopefully. We're starting again now. You're fucking stuck with it. Tough shit. If you've never watched any of these before, it is literally just that. It's a middle-aged man talking into a laptop about heavy metal for about 10 minutes. I'm not guaranteeing you're going to feel enriched by the end of it. You may feel that you've wasted 10 minutes of your life, but it's probably less of a waste than playing Pokemon Go. So, if nothing else, I might be able to distract a few people from doing that, a few grown-ups from doing that. So what am I going to talk about in this thrilling first Iron Sandwich for God knows how long? It's over a year, isn't it? Who knows? I can't say I've been counting. I really couldn't be asked to do them for quite a while. But yes, before I start. Well, yes. Here's blah blah blah. Here's what I'm going to talk to you about. It's the new album from Despised Icon. Look at that delicious thing there. It's an actual compact disc. It's a thing we used to have back in the day. The quality of the sound that you get from a compact disc is vastly superior to MP3s. Just so you know. So do keep buying these, because I do, and I get shitloads of music for free, and I still buy CDs. So anyway, Despised Icon from Vancouver. That's the album I'm going to be talking about very shortly. Just want to clear one thing up first. Just for anybody who is already watching this and thinking, oh, this bloke's a fucking wanker, and is going to write kind of, horrible things about me on the Facebook page. Just go for it. It's fine. You can say whatever you like. I really don't care. I won't read it. Not that not interested in other people's opinions, but, it's water off a duck's back, frankly. So, if you don't enjoy these videos and think I'm talking shit, that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. It's perfectly reasonable to find my opinions utterly ridiculous, and to find me utterly ridiculous. It's all good. Just, chill out, is all I would say. Because there's no point in getting stressed about some fat, hairy man talking about a deathcore record. And unlike a lot of other, similar things on the internet, I won't be shouting at you, and I will hopefully be bringing you opinions that at least have a shred of information to back them up. Not always, though, I have to say. There will be times where I will just talk out of my arse, and that's fine too. You can, like I say, you can point that out. I am aware of it, and I am aware that I'm a dick, so it's fine. You don't have to tell me. Okay, so Despised Icon. Amazing, pioneering, important, influential, seminal band. I've used all the words now, can't use them again. If you're a newcomer to the concept of deathcore, then this band should be your starting point, because arguably they were the first band to play deathcore. And although they split up in 2010, after the release of their fourth album, Day of Mourning, their influence is huge on the entire deathcore scene. I mean, certainly there were bands that formed shortly after them that had similar impact. All Shall Perish, Suicide Silence, Job for a Cowboy, Whitechapel, all the big names, Carnifex, all these bands. But Despised Icon are the granddaddies of this stuff. They're from Vancouver in Canada, not Vancouver, Montreal. What am I talking about? It's because I was listening to Devin Townsend earlier. I was thinking about Vancouver for some reason, which I've never been to. Oh no, I've been through the airport. See, this is the fascinating extra stuff that you get on an Iron Sandwich that you won't get in my written reviews, which hopefully will be coherent. This won't be. So yeah. The point being that when deathcore started, and I think this is something that a lot of kind of whiny folk on the internet fail to grasp, is that when deathcore first arrived, I mean, obviously no one called it deathcore for several years, but when Despised Icon released their first EP and their first album, it was an exciting new thing, and it was an underground thing. It wasn't some terrible commercial, some whorish nightmare of somebody trying to turn death metal into something palatable for the masses. There was nothing palatable about Despised Icon. There was nothing commercial about it. It just so happened that these were, basically the truth about these bands was that they were death metal fans, but they were also fans of Hatebreed. So you've got a load of kids that sat around listening to Cannibal Corpse, Suffocation, Immolation, Devourment, Dying Fetus, Skinless, all that kind of stuff. Internal Bleeding, amazing band. But they were also listening to Hatebreed, and as a result, they combined the two. It's not complicated, folks. That's what happened. They combined the two, and it's really just an extension of what Dying Fetus and bands like that were already doing with the slam death metal style. You know, it's just got more breakdowns, a bit more of a hardcore feel. And Despised Icon were, for my money, the first band to do it, and certainly the band that did it best in the first few years. Unfortunately, like most new kind of genres, subgenres within the metal world, saturation point was reached fairly quickly, and then you end up with hundreds of bands all playing the same cliched nonsense that's just purely beat downs, bass booms, sub bass booms, and some bloke doing an impression of a pig. Now, that's fine if that's all you're interested in hearing, but Despised Icon were always better than that. They always had a very strong death metal element in their sound that clearly came from a genuine appreciation and love of death metal. The bands that followed later, and once you're getting into the kind of Emmure and Attila generation, although some of them may well be death metal fans, who knows, you can't hear it in their music. It's literally just the deathcore cliches stripped down to a very basic formula and repeated ad nauseum, and in the case of Attila, adding some awful lyrics and just kind of jarring hip-hop and pop influences thrown in. And then people go, oh, no, the trolls don't like it. Oh, you stupid, narrow-minded death metal fans. No, it's just fucking awful. You know, it's one thing to be open-minded, but that doesn't mean that you. It doesn't mean that you then have to pretend that everything's good. You know, that's what they do on Radio 1. Fucking hell. So anyway, I think as a result, when Despised Icon split up in 2010, it was a big deal to their fans, obviously, but it wasn't a big deal to the rest of the metal world, because by that point, all the internet websites and the kind of snarky blogs and stuff, deathcore was just being used as an insult, really. And I think what's, just as a derogatory, oh, you're a fucking deathcore band, as if that was inherently a bad thing. You know, there's certainly shitloads of very poor deathcore bands, but there's also shitloads of very poor black metal bands, you know, and death metal bands, and fucking, I don't know, shoegaze black metal bands. You know, it's being shit is not limited to subgenres that you don't like. You know, but anyway, the amazing thing, I think, is that Despised Icon have come back after 6 years and made an album that frankly tops everything they've done before. I think aside from the amazing, brilliant artwork, which is just, there's a hideous creature on there. The album's called Beast. It's on Nuclear Blast Records. It's out this Friday. And it's one of those things, when a band that you really like splits up and then reforms a few years later, and there's plenty of examples of that, there's always a sense of trepidation, because you're not sure if they're going to come back and make a record as good as the stuff they've done in the past, or if they're going to come back and have completely changed their sound, or made some ill-advised kind of load-style attempt to make themselves more accessible to the mainstream, you know, all that kind of stuff. Well, we needn't have worried. I mean, from the first track onwards, Beast will rip your dick off, or your vagina, or any other part of your body that you leave hanging out in a rather careless fashion. It's just, you know, the sheer ferocity of this band has always been one of their best suits, and the way they use blast beats and the way they use, you know, the elements of authentic death metal in their sound has always been so convincing. And the fact that they mix it so well with the beat downs and the slightly more, you know, hip hop influenced grooves perhaps, but you know, it's really slam death metal influenced grooves more than anything. They've always been really sharp, and they've always been, you know, good songwriters, which I think is where a lot of the kind of generic deathcore and metalcore bands fall down, is they can't actually write songs, or if they can, they just write other people's. You know, this album it's diverse to the point that, you know, there's a song like Bad Vibes, which has a real kind of 90s Hatebreed, almost new metal kind of vibe to it, despite being as heavy as shit. And then you've got tracks like The Aftermath and Grind Forever, and the title track that are just absolute fucking savagery. You know, they've got the two vocalists, which normally I'm not particularly a fan of, unless it's Raging Speedhorn. I'm not big on that. It's like, why can't you do it all yourself? Bit weird. But in Despised Icon it works really well, because, you know, Alex has a kind of hardcore voice, and Steve has a much more death metal sound. They still use the pig squeals and stuff, but they use them at the inappropriate points. This is not an album that's peppered with sub-bass booms. It's not an album that drops unnecessary pop elements into the mix to try and, you know, wink at the teenage crowd and go, hey, look, we understand the iPod Shuffle generation, you know, or oh god, it's not even the iPod Shuffle generation. I sound so old because to me iPods are still a new thing, even though you can't fucking buy them anymore. But you know, it's Beast is the kind of comeback that you would hope a band like Despised Icon would make. You know, it's fucking vicious, and it comes at a time when you know, a lot of the bands that have survived the kind of the backlash against deathcore are about to or have released great records. I also have to mention while I'm here the new Carnifex album, Slow Death, which is out on Nuclear Blast shortly. They're not a band that have particularly turned me on in the past. I've seen them live a couple of times, quite enjoyed them, but it always seemed a little bit generic and nothing about it really stood out. But the new album, Slow Death, is absolutely fucking incredible. If you like deathcore, if you like bands like Black Dahlia Murder, if you like, your kind of symphonic black metal, Dimmu Borgir kind of stuff, there's all those elements in there. Some really great and quite funny lyrics, really good atmosphere, super brutal. So that I would thoroughly recommend that. It's the first Carnifex album I've ever got excited about. Really, really good. And then there's this, of course, which is out on Friday, and I can't recommend this highly enough. I remember I saw Despised Icon a long time ago, probably about 10 years ago in Brighton, and they were fucking incredible. But they didn't sound anywhere near as kind of intense as they do on this album. It's a super, super intense record, and it makes the vast majority of bands that have followed in their wake sound a bit pathetic, I have to say. But the Carnifex album, incredible, and also, I'm going to stop talking soon because I've passed the 11-minute mark. It's another record that I absolutely have to recommend. I would have done an entire Iron Sandwich on this, but it's out already, so I just want to get it out now. Tell you lovely, lovely people about this incredible band. They're called Lord of War. They're from San Diego, and their new album is called Suffer. It's on Unique Leader Records, and I cannot recommend it to you highly enough. It's kind of deathcore, it's kind of atmospheric, and a little bit progressive, but at the same time it's brutal and to the point. The songwriting is superb on it, and they're just absolutely incredible. And bands like this that will probably not get much attention because they're just another band on a label in America. You know, they probably won't get a chance to tour here anytime soon. These kind of bands get overlooked. Every now and then one pops out and I go, this is fucking incredible, and so I feel obliged to tell you lot about it. So that's kind of going to happen occasionally. I will veer off the track and go, oh yeah, I've heard this record, because I still get excited about stuff like that. So yeah, Lord of War, Suffer on Unique Leader. Fucking buy a copy. It's fucking amazing. There will be swearing on the Iron Sandwich, by the way. I will try and keep it to a minimum, because I don't want people to think that I'm uncouth. But at the same time, sometimes you need to call a cunt a cunt. You know what I mean? So, yeah. You will get to watch me drinking coffee as well, which is all part of the fun. So, yes, what's the conclusion to this brilliant podcast that you've put together, Dom? Well, it's that the new Despised Icon is very much worth paying £10 for, or whatever it costs from the shops, such as they are these days. Beast by Despised Icon, fucking brilliant. Highly recommended if you like brutal music, extreme metal, hardcore, deathcore, any of those things. And if you think it's the worst thing ever and that I'm a total prick for liking it, then that's nice too. That's absolutely fine. Do feel free to leave a message on Metal Hammer's Facebook saying that I'm awful. Right, that's it. There'll be another one next week, hopefully. Yes, literally, I feel I have to say it again. This is it. It is just me talking into a laptop. But it's thrilling, informative, and entertaining stuff. I'm sure you'll agree. Yes, join me again next week for yet more waffle. Sweaty waffle today as well. Fucking hell. Whale boffy. Okay, so I'm going to click the button now and hopefully not fuck it up. Thanks for watching this drivel, and see you again soon. Cheers, folks. Heavy metal.